There's something deeply wrong about finding a door that wasn't supposed to exist. A space that shouldn't be there, sealed behind drywall, beneath floorboards, or hidden in the dark corners of a home. Maybe that's why these stories feel so wrong. Because they're real, and every one of them begins the same way, with someone who thought they were alone. It was the winter of 2019 when I moved into that apartment. Tiny one-bedroom, fifth floor of a building that hadn't been renovated since the 70s. The rent was suspiciously cheap, but I didn't care. I just needed a quiet place, close to work. The first few nights were uneventful until I started noticing sounds. They weren't the usual old building creaks. They were rhythmic, soft tapping, coming from inside the wall behind my bed. At first, I thought it was pipes, maybe rats, but then it started to sound deliberate, like fingers, tapping in patterns. I tried to ignore it, until one night, I woke up around 3 a.m., and the tapping had stopped. Instead, there was breathing. It was faint but close, too close. I pressed my ear to the wall and froze. It wasn't just breathing. Someone was whispering. I couldn't make out the words, just a soft, guttural murmur that made my stomach twist. I called my landlord the next morning. He brushed it off, said the walls shared some old air vents and sounds carried weirdly through them. But I wasn't convinced. A week later, I noticed a strange seam in the wall near my kitchen, barely visible, like the outline of a door that had been plastered over. I grabbed a flashlight and started tapping. It sounded hollow. The next day, I borrowed a crowbar from maintenance. When I pried a chunk of plaster away, dust poured out and the smell hit me. It was thick, stale, almost sweet. Behind the wall was a narrow, dark space, like a forgotten hallway. I shone my light inside. Old newspapers, rotten food, blankets, and in the corner, a mattress. Someone had been living there. Then I saw something that made my blood run cold. Pinned above the mattress was a strip of Polaroid photos. All of me. Sleeping, eating, sitting on my couch. The latest photo was dated 2 nights ago. I called 911 shaking. The police came and searched the hidden space. They found footprints leading to an air vent that connected to another unit. But that apartment? It was empty. Had been for months. The police never found anyone. I moved out the next day. But sometimes late at night, I still hear that slow, deliberate tapping, right behind my new wall. My uncle used to own a farmhouse out in rural Pennsylvania. When he passed, I inherited it, and I'll admit I wasn't thrilled. It was old, isolated, and smelled like mildew and mothballs. Still, I decided to spend a weekend there to sort through his stuff. The first night, the power went out during a storm. I lit some candles, and that's when I noticed something strange. A thin draft coming from the corner of the basement. While I followed it, I found what looked like a section of wall that didn't match the rest. The wood was newer, cleaner, almost like it had been replaced. Out of curiosity, I knocked on it, and it echoed. There was an empty space behind it. I found a small crowbar among my uncle's tools and pried the panel off. Behind it was a door. A metal door with no handle, just a latch. I hesitated, but the storm outside was deafening, and something about that latch. I had to know. The door opened into a narrow staircase descending underground, deeper than the basement. The air was damp and cold, carrying that earthy, heavy smell of something long buried. At the bottom was a single room. Concrete walls, a table, chains, and a single wooden chair facing the corner. There were deep scratches on the floor, like someone had been dragged. I remember whispering out loud, "What the hell is this place?" That's when I heard it. Footsteps above me. Slow, heavy. I was alone. My heart dropped. I turned off my flashlight. The footsteps stopped. Then, from the corner of the dark room, a low, hoarse exhale. I ran up the stairs and slammed the door shut. When a sheriff came later that night, we went back down together. But the room was empty. Even the chains were gone. They told me it was probably some kind of old storm shelter, maybe used during the war. But I know what I heard. And sometimes I wonder if that hidden room wasn't built to keep something safe inside. Maybe it was built to keep something from getting out. I work as a home inspector. I've been in hundreds of houses, new builds, condemned properties, foreclosures. But there's one inspection that still keeps me up at night. It was a large colonial-style house, tucked in the woods of upstate New York. The client, a young couple, said they were hearing voices in the vents and wanted to make sure there wasn't something wrong structurally. It was an overcast morning. The air felt still, too quiet. The house looked normal enough, but when I went to check the foundation, I noticed something odd. A hollow spot beneath the floor near the back of the property. When I looked closer, I saw a trapdoor. No handle, just hinges. The couple swore they had no idea it was there. I used my flashlight and crowbar to pry it open. A narrow ladder led down into darkness. I told the husband to stay upstairs while I checked it out. The ladder creaked under my weight as I climbed down. The air grew colder. When my feet hit the floor, my light revealed a long, concrete hallway. There were scratch marks on the walls, hundreds of them, like fingernails scraping at the surface. And then I saw the writing. Faint, smeared in what looked like rust or something darker. Over and over again in shaky letters. Let me out. I started backing away, but then my flashlight flickered. For a split second, I saw a shape at the far end of the hallway. Tall, thin, standing unnaturally still. When the light came back on, it was gone. I climbed the ladder as fast as I could, slamming the hatch shut behind me. When I turned to the husband, his face was pale. He said, "We didn't tell you everything. The previous owner disappeared. They never found him. I told them to move out immediately. They said they would. But 2 weeks later, I got a call from the county office. The house had burned down. No signs of arson. No remains found. Just one thing recovered from the ashes. A warped metal hatch, still locked from the outside. They say walls have memories. That every scream, every secret, every nightmare seeps into the wood and lingers. Maybe that's true. Maybe that's why hidden rooms exist, not to hide what's inside, but to keep the rest of us from remembering what's already been there all along. Just remember, next time you move into a new place, if you ever notice a seam where the wall doesn't quite line up, don't open it, because once you do, it might not let you close it again. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more videos on AI storytelling YTS.